Ich verkünde die Spiele von Berlin zur Feier der 11. Olympiade neuer Zeitrechnung als eröffnet.
The 1936 Summer Olympic Games, hosted in Berlin, Germany during the rise of Nazi power, were a turning point in history because the Nazi regime used them to start World War II. They were instrumental for Germany because of their propaganda value. These games also granted Germany the needed legitimacy to start World War II. In 1916, the Olympics were scheduled to be in Germany, but were canceled due to World War I. In 1931, the International Olympic Committee, or IOC, decided that the 1936 Olympics, both summer and winter, would be held in Germany. The Summer Games were to be awarded to Berlin, the Winter Games to Garmisch-Partenkirchen. In 1934, Adolf Hitler became dictator of Germany. Most people saw Hitler's rise to power as a good thing.
When Hitler first came to power, it was considered really a positive thing, not only by the people of Germany themselves, but by countries around the world who thought that Hitler was going to really clean up Germany and improve things from the way they had been during the interwar period. And I think his appeal for the Olympics, and then of course his success at getting his Olympic bid, and then his success at getting the Olympics in Germany, really seemed to validate the German people's decision to elect Hitler into power and confirm that he was taking Germany onto the right path and cleaning up Germany and getting it back on track. And really the people of Germany, I think, in the success of the Olympics, felt like they had made a good decision in choosing Hitler. It seemed like a great victory for Hitler, and it really was something that most of the population would have seen as a great victory, with the obvious exception, of course, of German Jews and other people who were being persecuted at the time.
Originally, Hitler did not support the Olympics due to their internationalism. But after his Minister of Propaganda, Joseph Goebbels, convinced him of their propaganda value, he became an avid supporter. The Nazis financially supported these Olympics, providing $8 million. The German government made a law banning Jews from any sport associations, including the Olympics. Hitler did not want to allow any Jews or racial and ethnic minorities to compete with any nation. However, the IOC refused to allow this, threatening to take the games away from Germany. Then, Germany allowed just enough Jews and minorities to participate in order to retain the opportunity to act as host country. Hitler tried to draw as much attention to these games as possible. This Olympiad was the first to have a torch run, going from Olympia, Greece to the host city, Berlin. It was also the first to be broadcasted on television. Television coverage greatly increased the effect that these games had on the world. These games are certainly most famous because of Jesse Owens, who won 4 gold medals. To many people nowadays, Owens undermined the German superiority ideals of the Nazis. However, there is concrete evidence that this is not true. It did not stop or undermine Hitler at all, because after the conclusion of these games, he considered them a great success for Germany. And they were. Germany won nearly twice the number of medals of the second-place country, the United States. Hitler needed legitimacy with the international community to be successful in starting the war. The United States and other world powers missed the chance to demonstrate their disapproval of Nazi ideals by not boycotting the games.
I definitely don't think that America did the right thing in this situation. By attending the Olympics and supporting the German Olympic project, America was expressing its support for a system that was explicitly based on racial discrimination. And I think there are a lot of reasons that America made that decision. On the one hand, America did not want to boycott the Third Reich because the American government was consistently worried of being perceived as being philo-Semitic or as being favored toward the Jews, and so they didn't want to interfere. And in addition, of course, America had its own series of racial discrimination laws that were in the books, and they did not want to do anything that would imply that racial discrimination was inappropriate or needed a major protest. So I think for both of these reasons, I think that ethically and morally it was not a good decision by the U.S. government.
After Germany banned Jews from sports, Avery Brundage, the director of the United States Olympic Committee, stated, "The very foundation of the modern Olympic revival will be undermined if individual countries are allowed to restrict participation by reason of class, creed, or race." After this statement, the Nazis invited Brundage to take a tour of Germany. The Nazis made a tremendous effort to conceal all things discriminating Jews and other minorities. After this tour, Brundage returned home opposing a boycott, saying, "The Olympic Games belong to the athletes and not the politicians." Following Brundage's change of view, Jeremiah Mahoney, the president of the Amateur Athletic Union, spoke out. He said that the Third Reich had blatantly broken the official Olympic laws that prohibit discrimination of any basis. Many other people with status also supported boycotting. For instance, Governor James Curley of Massachusetts and Governor Al Smith of New York also endorsed a boycott. Even so, Brundage decided that the United States would attend the Games. Great Britain was also divided on this issue. Much of the country supported Germany, while others were entirely against them. Europe was very interrelated. For instance, many families were spread out in various countries, including Germany. Europe, even though war-torn, was a very friendly continent. You could travel without much difficulty, and many rulers were on good terms. This probably was why World War II was such a shock to Europe. While many countries considered boycotting the Berlin Games, Spain was ultimately the only country that did. When world powers chose to attend these games, Germany gained legitimacy.
The tremendous success of the Nazi Olympics did really improve Germany's reputation, and it made other nations, international powers, in particular, of course, those of Western Europe and the United States, much more reluctant to intervene. They had much more positive attitudes towards Hitler and Nazi Germany than they otherwise might have. And so in that sense, I think the Olympics did encourage reluctance to object as Germany and Hitler continually violated clauses of the Versailles Treaty as they prepared for war, and even ultimately after they invaded Poland. I do think the Olympics contributed to the lack of desire to intervene and to sort of interfere with Hitler and his activities.
Hitler avidly supported sports in Germany, believing they would prepare youth for war. German sport has only one task: to strengthen the character of the German people, imbuing it with the fighting spirit and steadfast camaraderie necessary in the struggle for existence. Joseph Goebbels. Had America and other world powers such as Great Britain boycotted these games, they would have intervened more quickly after Germany's invasion of Poland, because the Nazis showed them a cleaned-up Germany. Hitler tried to use these games to prove that Germans were superior, both culturally and athletically, and he had backup. Germany won the most medals, with 101 total. The second-place winner, the United States, earned slightly over half of that, with only 57. This portrayed Germany as stout and tough. There is evidence showing that Hitler wanted to portray Germany as strong, intelligent, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Aryans. Hitler had grandiose plans for the expansion of the Reich, including taking over the entire Olympic Games. Adolf Hitler said, "In 1940, the Olympic Games will be placed in Tokyo, but thereafter they will take place in Germany for all time to come in this stadium." The 1936 Summer Olympic Games were a turning point in history because the Nazis exploited them as a turning point. They helped Germany in gaining legitimacy by not having any major powers boycott them. World War II resulted in 50 to 60 million people left dead. The 1936 Olympics were exactly what Hitler needed.